What's going on, everybody? Jake from Tech Kitchen back again. Another YouTube video here over something that I get asked very frequently. So first off, I want to wish everybody a happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Maybe it's not even that time of year by the time you see this video, but hopefully life is treating you good. So you know, I always get asked, what kind of TV should I buy? Do I really need to get a 4K TV? I have friends looking to buy a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One S, and they want to make sure the TV they buy can take full advantage of the technology. And, you know, as well as sound, you know, they're looking for a sound bar maybe, or just trying to find the perfect headphones. Well, I'm not going to cover the headphones. We will cover everything as far as the actual home theater so that you can get that full experience, not only visual, but audio as well. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and check out and get into my home theater. So the first thing we're going to cover is the TV, because of course that's what everything revolves around, right? So what I have is the Samsung JS8500 TV. It's a 4K HDR 3D 65-inch TV. And for my needs, this was exactly what I was looking for. It was the highest class flat screen, which what I mean is not curved TV that there was at the time when I bought this. So I personally just don't buy into the curved screen. I mean, I think that if that's something you want, that's great. Get it. There should be nothing holding you back from it. I just personally, I guess maybe I'm a little old school and I prefer to still have a flat screen. So let me warn you now, this sucker, 65 inches. I had a 55 inch before this. No problem mounting that one up on the wall. This one here, I needed my teenage son's help. It's a beast. I think it's like 90 pounds. So definitely is a heavyweight. So what you want to look for in a TV is, yes, all new TVs are pretty much 4K. So 4K is the standard, but you also want to make sure that it is HDR, which means high dynamic range. If you see the 4K symbol, that's fine. If you see the HDR symbol, you know you're good. So make sure it has that. All new TVs also have something called HDCP 2.2, which we'll talk about that when we go over my audio receiver. Just make sure that if you're buying a TV used, that it has both HDR and HDCP 2.2. Those are both very important and something you want to make sure you have. So along with the TV, let me look in the back here. I have it mounted, and as you can see by the mount, you know, it's pretty sturdy because, like I said, this is like a 90-pound TV. As you can see hanging too, I actually have some LED lights that I actually just bought. I didn't really get too fancy with putting them up. I just have them hanging by the mount there. It creates the effect that you're seeing here that gives it that kind of purple lighting effect. I can also change it to any color I want, so that is nice. But the mount, make sure that if you buy a mount that it can support your size TV, of course, but very key, make sure that you mount it in a stud. While that may be common sense for most, if you're new at this, you know, you might just go around just nailing it up right in the wall where you want it centered. Make sure you get a stud finder, make sure you're using a tape measure, everything that you need so that you can line it up perfectly and make sure it's installed into that stud. So again, if you have 4K, HDR, HDCP 2.2, you're good. So whatever size TV you want, whatever brand, you know, don't let anybody sway you. Once you make up your mind, just do your research and you should be good to go. So here is my receiver, the Denon AVR S910W. When it comes to brand, you know, brands like Denon, Yamaha, Sony, Pioneer, to me it really is just a matter of taste. I think they're all going to get the job done, but there's some certain things that you want to look for in a receiver if you're looking to set up a specific thing like Dolby Atmos. So obviously, as you can see on the label there, the very top left one, it does say Dolby Atmos and DTS:X. Those are both similar technologies, which basically let you either place speakers so that they're facing upward toward the ceiling, so it bounces the sound waves back down from the ceiling, so it creates like a dome type of effect, right? Or if you have a house, I live in an apartment so I can't do this, but if you live in a house, you can actually install speakers in the ceiling so that the sound is coming directly above you. Now obviously installing them in the ceiling is going to give you the optimal sound, but if you're like me and you live in an apartment, then you just have those speakers facing upward to bounce off of the ceiling. So there's some receivers that only support Atmos and some that only support DTS-X. In my opinion, you'll want to get one that supports both. You know, that way no matter how the movie is mixed, you have it all covered. Something else here, it is a 7.2 channel receiver, which means that you can put one center speaker in front of you, two speakers left and right in front of you. You can also have speakers directly to the left and right of the listening position, as well as two speakers in the back of you in the rear position, and up to two subwoofers. So me, I used to have a 7.1 setup, but then I went Dolby Atmos, which I'll get into once I talk about my speakers. Now, looking at the HDMI, it does have 8 inputs and 2 outputs. Now, in the old school days, you know, you would basically buy a TV, a receiver, you know, let's say a Nintendo, your cable box. You would plug in your cable box and your game system into your TV, and then you would have the sound going from your TV into the receiver. Nowadays, everything routes through your audio receiver. So I have my Xbox One S going into one of the HDMIs of the receiver. The cable box goes into the receiver. If I had a PS4 yet, which I don't have just yet, that would go into the receiver. And everything passes through there into the TV. So it's kind of like your full central hub now. So you want to make sure that it has the capabilities to support 4K, HDR, and HDCP 2.2. And what that HDCP 2.2 is, it's kind of a protective thing with 4K discs so that people don't pirate. You know, I'm not sure the full details of it, but it's basically to try to prevent piracy. So if your TV is 2.2, your audio receiver is 2.2, you're good to go. And again, as long as it's HDR and it can support that, you're good to go with that as well. So that's pretty much it. One thing is, you know, when it comes to like speaker wire, the gauge, you don't want to use a super thin gauge. I believe I have 16 gauge. I'm not 100% sure. I wired this up and I used all of the speaker wire, so I don't have the, you know, the little thick bundle that it came in to look at the tag. But the speaker wire I have is pretty thick. And let me just show you really quick here. That way I can actually show you what I'm talking about. It's a pretty decent size here. So there it is. And it's not too thin and it's not too thick. There are definitely some speaker wire that go a lot thicker than this, but I'm in an apartment, and while they do have a good effect, being in an apartment, it's not like I can blast this system crazy anyway. So, you know, for me, it definitely gets the job done, but, you know, just something that you should take note of. And I think that's about it as far as the receiver goes. So let's go ahead and move on to the speakers. So this is my center channel. As you can see, it has a tweeter in the middle. Now there's different brands. You know, I think that the best way to do it is to demo. Go into a store, you know, a Best Buy, whatever you have. I know there's another store locally here that we have called Bjorn's. I don't know if that's a nationwide thing or not, but you basically, if you can demo them, I would recommend demoing them. Now, what you hear in the store is always going to be a little different than what you hear at home because the acoustics are different. You know, your floor plan, it's not just a wide open space like the store, but you can still kind of get a general idea of which sound you like the most. So originally, I had bought some Pioneers that sounded pretty decent in the store. I got them home and they were good, but it just didn't sell me. So it just so happened that Amazon had a sale on these Polk speakers, which is my entire speaker setup. They're all Polks. You want to have the same brand for all your speakers because different speaker sets can have different sounds. So all of my speakers are the TSX series from Polk, and I got them all at the same time. There was a 50% off sale, so I definitely got a great deal on those. So you want to have your channel speaker. As you can see, I have it on some foam pads there just to prevent any vibrations of my entertainment center. So you have your center speaker, and that's pretty much where the majority of your sound's going to come from. You have your left speaker, which I have towers, and you have your right, and you have your rear. So one to the, well, my left, the way I'm facing. This one's to the right. But so when you're all set up, you know, you're here. You basically have your center speaker right in front of you, left channel, right channel, and directly for me and back and to the sides is the rear speakers. Now you might have taken notice of these speakers that I have here, right? Facing upwards, it's what I was talking about, the Dolby Atmos. So yes, they do make specialty Dolby Atmos speakers that you can normally place on top of your tower speakers, which would then reflect up to the ceiling and back down to the listening position. However, you know, I already had these speakers. What I found is that with those Dolby Atmos speakers, they tend to be smallish, and I don't know how much sound they actually produce. You can always raise the volume, of course, but I already had these speakers acting as, you know, part of my 7.1 setup, and they were normally off to the sides, but since we moved into this new place, there's really not any space for them, and if I did, it would look really tacky. So what I did is I used the settings on the receiver to set it up as a Dolby Atmos. Bought these little short stands here, placed them using foam pads and, you know, some little inserts on the back end so that they face the ceiling in a diagonal kind of arch here. As you can see, it shoots up and then it comes back down. So I'm basically mimicking that Dolby Atmos effect, and it does work. I've actually tested it with, like, John Wick has a rain scene in the beginning where he's at a funeral, and the rain definitely fills the room. So, you know, Dolby Atmos, DTSX does the same thing. I think that if you already have the speakers, you can position them in a similar way and take advantage of that sound. All right, and here we have my console. So this is the Xbox One S. Now this isn't a war or anything as far as Xbox versus PS4. I'm actually planning on getting the Pro now that they're releasing, you know, a good couple of more games in 2017 that look really interesting to me. I was just waiting for enough exclusives to warrant the purchase. That can be argued, of course. Many people have the PS4, but the reason that I got the Xbox One S, so Samsung had a 4K Blu-ray player that came out. It was one of the first that could actually play 4K discs, right? So I went out and grabbed it. It was like $400. I think it was the KS8500 if I'm not mistaken. So I had that, and I had my Xbox Elite. Now the Xbox played the games, it let you watch TV, everything like that, but it didn't play 4K discs. The player did. Shortly after getting the player, Xbox announced the Xbox One S would be able to play 4K discs. So right away I actually sold off my Xbox Elite and my 4K player, got a little bit, you know, a few $100s in my pocket, and basically swapped out 2 units for the one. So now this Xbox One S can not only play my games, let me watch cable, you know, all the other things, the apps, Netflix, Hulu, but also play my 4K movies. And it is 3D compatible as well. As of today's date, the only thing that it's lacking is Atmos support, but there is going to be an update for that in the near future, and once there is, it's pretty much my all-in-one machine. So takes care of everything that I need. Let me pull the camera off here. As you can see, I actually have a lot of different types of movies. Let me just look at the top here. I mean, so we have a regular Blu-ray, we have a 3D movie, and we have a 4K movie. So all of my needs with all of my movies that I have almost every Marvel movie. I mean, I could go on and on as far as my movie collection, but everything that I have from Blu-ray to 3D to 4K, the Xbox One S takes care of me. So does my receiver and my TV, so I'm good to go as far as that. So let's go ahead and move on to the next part of the puzzle. Alright, so what we have here is the APC H10 power conditioner. So if you're not familiar with what a power conditioner is, basically it's a power strip. On the back of the unit are multiple places to plug in the TV, the entertainment, you know, the receiver, the Xbox, the cable box, everything else. You know, if it needs a power source, I've run it through here. So basically it's all neat. This thing basically filters the sound. And this is very useful in like studio recording applications, but it basically cleans up any kind of hums or sounds or interference that might come from the electronics, you know, from the actual building itself. So it's also a surge protector. So in the case of a lightning storm, maybe a power outage, I actually had the power the other day flicker on and off about 5 or 6 times in a row. Everything shut off, on, off, on, off, on, off, and something like that can damage your electronics. So luckily I have this. It's got all the little light indicators here, which you can see they're lit blue. It'll light up yellow or red if there's something wrong or something needs to be checked. So as you can see here, there is this line trim light lit on right now, which, you know, randomly comes on. It's just to let me know there may be an issue. Typically a reset will take care of it. But I think that if you're gonna have a setup, you wanna have something like this to take care of all of this money that you just spent, right? And another big key thing here is this helps you save money on your electric bill. This little button right here, at the end of the night, it's time to go to sleep. I turn off my electronics and I hit that switch and it shuts off power to all of my, you know, other units, the TV, the receiver, the Xbox, because as you know, even if you turn something on, it's still draining power, you know, from the wall, from the plug. So by flipping that switch, it completely shuts off that bridge there and nothing drains power throughout the night while you're not using these products. So definitely I recommend that. It helps save money on your electricity and protect your equipment. So with that, let's go ahead and move on to the final piece of the puzzle. All right, and I said final, but I'm actually going to touch on just a few more things. So this is my entertainment center. The entertainment center is great. It houses everything. As you can see from before, the TV is mounted on the wall, so I don't have to worry about it taking up all that space. Now, I will admit that when I ordered this off of Amazon, I thought that the dimensions were going to be a little bit wider so that I would be able to fit the receiver and the power conditioner into the bottom parts of the unit where you see the controllers are and my 3D glasses on the other side. It didn't, so I just put them on top. It works, it's fine, I'm already used to it, so it's good. And of course you can adjust the little shelves on the side to go up or down. It takes care of all of my needs. I mean, I don't have any complaints. It does have this simulated fireplace here. Great thing about that is it has a separate switch which actually does produce heat. So it's a heater, and it's been a little cold around here lately, so I can flip that switch on and off whenever it gets a little too chilly if I don't want to put on my heater. So other than that, one other thing I wanted to touch on here, as you can see, I have acoustic panels on the walls. My floor plan here, you know, as you can see, it's floor. With floor, you get a lot of echo. It's wide open, goes directly into the kitchen, the dining area. I mean, it's not really, there's nothing here to really help with absorption or controlling the acoustics. So what I did is I did have a coffee table, which actually right here, again, Merry Christmas. I actually have our Christmas tree on the coffee table so that you can see the tree from outside. But what I did is I removed it from the equation. So just having this rug here actually helps a lot with controlling the acoustics. The sound waves come up, they bounce on the ground or they bounce on the ceiling. So having this rug here helps to eliminate some of that. These are actually sound absorbing curtains that I have here, so those help with that as well. But I did put up a lot of GIK acoustic panels. Really, technically, I should have some mounted in the corner here working as bass traps. The reason I didn't do that was because this was kind of something I had to work out with the wife, you know. She wanted to decorate the walls. She wanted to have it look nice in here. And so I had to come to an agreement that if I'm going to put these up, I'm at least going to make it look nice. So, you know, there was just no way to put those in the corner and have it look, I guess, symmetric in the room. But anything helps. And these are high quality panels, so they definitely help. Filters off a lot of the absorption. I could probably put some more up there, but this is what I have as of right now. So that is it as far as the acoustics go. And let's see here. One other thing I see we can touch on, so let's move on to that. All right, so last thing here, This is my subwoofer. It is not a Polk. It is the BIC America F12, and it is a monster, let me tell you. Let me see if I can just kind of get my hand here to show you. This sucker is a beast. It weighs a lot, but it definitely does the job. Excuse all the wiring back here. I moved my couch a little bit to the side so that you could see it. Typically, you don't see the back here, so I haven't really bothered to clean up the wires. But having that sub there in the corner, it creates a lot of bass, so much that I can't even take advantage of the full power of it because I live in an apartment and I have neighbors below and above me. So just wanted to touch on that. You might want to check out that. I'll put the link to all these products into the description box so that you can check all of these out. The last thing I have is my router here. Just a quick little tidbit on that. You know, a lot of people don't know. You know, I see people put their routers into their entertainment system. You want to keep it wide open. You don't want to have anything closing it off or surrounding it. It's going to interfere with your Wi-Fi signal, so just a little tip there. But that is it, people. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that it gives you some tips, some ideas of your own, so that you can set up your own ultimate home theater here. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I'll respond as much as I can. And again, you know, have a happy holidays, and all the links to these items will be in the description. So Jake from Tech Kitchen here, wishing you all Merry Christmas and have a good one.